the whole history, like 158 years of, efforts and hard work. That's the most saddening part.
The morning of September 15th appeared to be a pleasant one in New York City. But in Lehman Brothers headquarters on 7th Avenue, a catastrophic storm was taking shape. This storm had been brewing for many months, and now it was coming with full force. Despite many last-ditch efforts, Lehman's had filed for bankruptcy. Its dedicated employees around the world were forced to clean out their desks and leave their offices and the life they had centered around their work. Executives, employees, and the general public were left asking, how could this happen? Lehman's was known to be too big to fail. Did the government let this happen? Did the CEO, Richard Fuld, take on too much risk? What really happened to Lehman's? In 1844, Lehman's began in Montgomery, Alabama as the H. Lehman Grocery Store, founded by Henry Lehman. The business then grew to be very involved with cotton trading and was a founding member of the New York Cotton Exchange. From the turn of the century, Lehman's acquired and financed several companies and industries, including RCA and the emerging automobile and oil industries. The Lehman family left as owners of the company in the 1960s, and in 1984 merged with Shearson American Express for a brief period. Lehman's was emerging as a leading investment bank and had grown to the fourth largest in the country, with an immense global presence, especially in London and Tokyo. When Dick Fuld took over as CEO in 1994, Lehman's posted very strong revenues and continually increasing stock prices. Clearly, this success came to an end at Lehman's. What caused their downfall? During the time when Dick Fuld was CEO at Lehman Brothers, work life was intense. Fuld was known to rule with an iron fist. Despite the intimidation that came from Fuld, Lehman's employees were very dedicated to their jobs. Here, Lawrence McDonald, former Lehman Vice President of Distressed Debt and Convertible Securities, describes the culture and attitudes of Lehman's employees.
You'd get to work at Lehman Brothers on a cold February morning, and
at 6 o'clock.
At 6, but say you got in on a Friday, say Thursday you went out for dinner, and you had some fun, and you get in on Friday morning at say 7:30, you could go to 6 closets and wouldn't find a coat hanger. I mean, at 7:30, you are a slacker.
But what was it like?
This dedication came in part because of the team atmosphere that Dick Fuld and the other executives at Lehman's fostered. Fuld was quoted in 2006 saying, "I wanted them all to think and act and behave like owners." He instilled a compensation program that was heavily supported through stock in the company. Employees learned to work hard and take risks, all under the watch of Fuld. For years this was successful, but eventually this would contribute to the downfall of many. The economy of America contributed significantly to the Lehman Brothers collapse. The main reason the American and world economies went into a recession was the burst of the housing bubble. Many loans were issued to people for the purposes of buying real estate, and these loans were based on adjustable interest rates. After the peak of the housing prices in 2006, a huge decline in real estate prices occurred. This triggered the adjustable rates of loans to become higher, and therefore many Americans could not pay back their loans at these rates, thus leading to foreclosures and many people losing their homes. After a loan was issued, banks sold these loans to investment banks like Lehman's, and in turn investment banks tried to make profits from the loans when people paid their mortgages. Lehman struggled widely because they invested in subprime mortgages. In California alone, about $350 billion worth of these securities were purchased by Lehman Brothers. However, since people could not pay their mortgages, this led to Lehman's incurring huge losses on their subprime mortgages. Dick Fuld and Lehman's had been warned that huge losses from subprime mortgages were very likely. Mike Gelband, head of Lehman's sector for commercial and residential real estate, urged Fuld, along with President Joe Gregory, to reduce further investments in these mortgages. Though he had knowledge that many people and other banks were discontinuing their real estate investments due to the risk of massive losses, Fuld invested even more in an effort to capitalize on others' panic. Those high-risk investments ultimately led to Lehman's own panic.
In 12 months, its share price has plunged by 93%. UK bank Barclays planned to buy part of the company, but it thought twice. A US consortium led by Bank of America did the same. It too pulled out. The challenge now to allow it to die gently. An orderly liquidation is in the interests of every other bank. This isn't just Wall Street's problem. To dump all Lehman's assets at once would depress the market worldwide. Just listen to Alan Greenspan, the former head of the US Federal Reserve.
This is a once-in-a-half-century, probably once-in-a-century type of event.
Is it the worst you've ever seen in your career?
Oh, by far. There's no question that this is in the process of outstripping anything I've seen, and it still is not resolved, and it still has a way to go.
The US Treasury could have used taxpayers' money to bail it out. It's done it before for Bear Stearns. This time, though, it said no.
With no government intervention, Lehman Brothers was forced to file for bankruptcy. Thousands lost their jobs, the market for credit was dried up, and the global economy was left in shambles. Merely a month later, Dick Fuld came under fire, seen as the ultimate villain in the largest case of mismanagement in U.S. economic history.
Lehman Brothers' former CEO, Richard Fuld, is living pretty. A multi-million-dollar estate in Florida, a $21 million apartment on Park Avenue, another lavish estate in Greenwich, Connecticut. And it's no wonder. Fortune magazine says as CEO, Fuld was paid around $500 million. But now he's on the hot seat.
When the company did well, we did well. When the company did not do well, sir, we did not do well.
Well, Mr. Fuld, there seems to be a breakdown, because you did very well when the company was doing well, and you did very well when the company wasn't doing well, and now your shareholders who owned your company have nothing. Another remarkable document is a request submitted to the Compensation Committee of the Board on September 11th, 4 days before Lehman filed for bankruptcy. It recommends that the Board give 3 departing executives over $20 million in, quote, special payments. In other words, even as Mr. Fuld was pleading with Secretary Paulson for a federal rescue, Lehman continued to squander millions on executive compensation. It seems that the system worked for you, but it didn't seem to work for the rest of the country, and the taxpayers who now have to pay up to $700 billion to bail out our economy. We can't continue to have a system where Wall Street executives privatize all the gains and then socialize the losses. Accountability needs to be a two-way street.
Well, CNN has been told that federal investigators are looking into Lehman, and more than 24 other companies were told they're looking into allegations of fraud. Now, congressional investigators, by the way, have also started asking questions about whether investors were misled by anything company officials said or didn't say regarding that company's financial health.
Did you mislead your investors? And I remind you, sir, you're under oath.
No, sir, we did not mislead our investors, and to the best of my ability at the time, given the information that I had, we made disclosures that we fully believed were accurate. I want to be very clear. I take full responsibility for the decisions that I made and for the actions that I took. Based on the information that we had at the time, I believe that these decisions and actions were both prudent and appropriate. None of us ever gets the opportunity to turn back the clock. But with the benefit of hindsight, would I have done things differently? Yes, I would have.
The bottom line is that since 2000, you've taken home more than $480 million. That's almost $500 million. And that's difficult to comprehend for a lot of people. Your company is now bankrupt. Our economy is in a state of crisis. But you get to keep $480 million. I have a very basic question for you. Is this fair?